I'm fine. It's a shield, isn't it? A mechanical defense that leaves your lips before your brain even processes the question. You say it to the colleague in the elevator, to the barista, to your parents over the phone on Sunday night. You've said it so many times that for brief moments throughout the day, you almost believe it. But there is a moment when the lie fails. It's the 3 a.m. mirror moment. Not the decorative mirror in the hallway, but the one in the bathroom, under that cruel, unforgiving fluorescent light that reveals every line of exhaustion on your face. There, in the ringing silence, you stare at your own reflection and realize the abyss. Your life script is performing perfectly for the audience, but the actor is collapsing. This video isn't about getting better in a superficial way. It's about the pathology of high functionality. We're going to dive into the basement of your consciousness, guided by Carl Jung, Albert Camus, and Paul Watzlawick, to understand why you feel like you are disappearing behind your own efficiency. From this point on, there is nowhere left to hide from your own reflection. Carl Jung, the cartographer of the human soul, introduced the concept of the persona. The word comes from Latin, referring to the masks worn by actors in classical theater. Jung argued that we all need a persona. It's our psychological uniform, the face we wear to navigate society without being devoured by others' intimacy. The danger arises with persona inflation. This happens when you look at your job title, your status as the perfect child or the resilient friend, and forget there is a human being behind it. You start to believe the mask is your actual skin. In Japan, there is a crucial distinction: tatemae and hone. Tatemae is the facade, what society expects. Hone is your true sound, your raw desires, your unedited pain. The tragedy of modernity is that we are conditioned to live 99% of our time in tatemae. We sacrifice our true sound on the altar of social acceptance. Every time you smile when you want to scream, you commit a small treason against yourself. Over the years, these treasons accumulate like layers of sediment until your original self is buried miles beneath others' expectations. You aren't living, you are performing a life. How do you manage to fool so many people for so long? Through a sophisticated architecture of defense. Let's dissect the 4 layers of your armor. Layer 1, the Pavlovian reflex. This is the "I'm okay" that escapes your mouth automatically. Your nervous system is in flight or fight mode. Your cortisol is peaking, yet your voice remains steady. It is a biological camouflage. Layer 2, the narrative of competence. You use productivity as an alibi. How can I be struggling if I met all my targets, you ask yourself. You bury yourself in deadlines because as long as you're useful to the world, you feel you have the right to exist, even if you are hollow inside. Layer 3, humor as a sniper. Sarcasm is your favorite weapon. If you laugh at your own tragedy first, you strip others of the power to notice your brokenness. You become the funny friend, the one who cracks sharp jokes about their own burnout, creating a wall of laughter that no one dares to cross. Layer 4, loud silence. You are terrified of quiet. You fill every second with podcasts, videos, or work. Silence is dangerous because that is where the voice of your truth begins to scream. You consume content not to learn, but to drown out the sound of your own soul. Paul Watzlawick established a fundamental axiom: one cannot not communicate. Even when you are silent, you are screaming. Even when you pretend, your body betrays your mind. Neuroscience explains the devastating fatigue you feel. Suppressing an emotion, pretending you aren't sad when your chest aches, requires a monumental effort from the prefrontal cortex. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater using only your fingertips. It demands constant focus, metabolic energy, and cerebral glucose. This is why at the end of a perfectly functional day, you feel like you've run a marathon. You aren't just working, You were managing a nuclear power plant of others' perceptions. You were monitoring your tone of voice, the flicker in your eyes, the tension in your shoulders. This constant monitoring drains your creativity and your capacity for real joy. You were so busy not appearing sad that you have no energy left to actually be happy. Everything you decided was ugly, weak, or inadequate about yourself didn't disappear. According to Jung, it was pushed into the shadow. The shadow is the warehouse for everything our persona rejects. But the basement of the mind is not soundproof. The shadow has its own gravity. The more you pretend you are fine, the more force the shadow exerts to emerge. It manifests insidiously, in that sudden, disproportionate irritation with a loved one, in that inexplicable urge to cry during a silly commercial, or those panic attacks that seem to come out of nowhere. What you deny submits you. As long as you don't integrate your pain, as long as you don't look at your weakness and say, "I see you," it will continue to run your life from behind the scenes. You call it stress or bad luck, but Jung would call it the return of the repressed. Your shadow is trying to save you from your own mask, but you are too busy maintaining appearances to listen. Albert Camus introduced us to the myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was condemned by the gods to roll a giant boulder up a mountain, only to watch it roll back down every single time. This is the cycle of pretending. Every morning, you wake up and begin pushing the boulder of normalhood uphill. You attend meetings, you smile for photos, you deliver results. At night, the boulder rolls back onto your chest in the form of insomnia and existential dread. Camus said that the absurd is born from the divorce between the human being and their own life. But Camus' lesson is radical. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Why? Because Sisyphus is free the moment he recognizes the weight of the rock and decides to keep pushing, but now with full consciousness. Your freedom won't come from a miracle cure. It will come when you admit, yes, I am exhausted. Yes, the rock is heavy. And yes, I am in the labyrinth. Consciousness of your situation is the first step of revolt against the tyranny of perfection. The ultimate irony of pretending is that it isolates us from the people we love most. We live in a society of holograms. If I show only my edited version and you show yours, our essences never touch. We are at a party full of people, but we are profoundly alone because no one there knows our true self. You are afraid that if you stop pretending, people will leave. You believe your value lies in your utility, your smile, your resilience, but research on vulnerability shows the opposite. What truly connects us is not our perfection, but our scars. By hiding your pain, you are robbing the people around you of the opportunity to love who you actually are, rather than the marble statue you built in place of your heart. You are living in a social desert that you water every day with your silence. So, what is the way out? There is no off switch for the persona. We will always need masks for certain situations. Healing isn't about being transparent all the time. It's about having places of radical honesty. You need at least one space, a piece of paper, a therapist, or a rare friendship where you can leave the heavy coat of the persona at the door. A place where you can say, "Today, I have nothing to offer but my confusion." Integrating the shadow means accepting that you are a complete human being, and being human includes being sad, being flawed, and being insufficient sometimes. Freedom is not the absence of pain, but the absence of the need to hide it. You don't need to be okay to have value. You don't need to carry the world on your back to be worthy of love. The invitation of this video is simple but brutal. Stop trying to be a better version of yourself and start being who you are, with all the cracks and shadows. Remember, the 3 a.m. mirror is not your enemy. It is the only thing left that still tells you the truth.
Maybe it's time you started listening. You can let go of the rock now, at least for today, at least for this moment.